All right, it is time for the Chiefs preview week 5. This week, they play the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football in Arrowhead in a game that I think is going to have a lot of points, a lot of offense, probably no defense to speak of. If there is any defense, it'll be a turnover, capitalize quickly on an offensive touchdown, and heck, at this point, we could probably even expect a little bit of special teams in this game. So let's look at this week. We're going to start off with the Bills, see what they have to do. Bills offensively, they're going to have to exploit the Chiefs' terrible run defense. The Chiefs can't stop the run, can't stop the pass. Defensively, they can't do anything. They're making weird decisions with their defensive line. So I think, with those weapons that the Bills have, Emmanuel Sanders, Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, and then obviously Josh Allen, they're going to have to exploit the Chiefs' defense, run the ball, throw the ball over the top where they can't stop, where, Chiefs can't stop anybody, anything. I mean, at this point, I think they're better off just putting nobody on the field and just, seeing how many points Mahomes can put up against the other defense. And if he can match it, cool. If he can't, he can't. Because there's literally no defense really to speak of for the Chiefs. So they're going to have to utilize every aspect of their game, just, dominate the Chiefs defense. But they can't let the Chiefs stop them and they can't just score field goals. They're going to have to score touchdowns, because you're going to have to beat the Chiefs at their own game. Because then if you offensively, you're going to have to score touchdowns. Defensively, you're going to have to, force the Chiefs into field goals. If you can do that, then you have a very good chance of winning this game. Because if you, beat the Chiefs at their own game, because, what the Chiefs like to do, they like to, play explosive offense, score 7 each drive, and then just hope the defense holds teams to field goals each drive, and then they'll, death by a million paper cuts. They'll score touchdowns. They'll let you score field goals, get your hopes up. Okay, we drove down the field. Mahomes will score again. All of a sudden, they're up 14-3, and they're like, oh, we have to score a touchdown. They hold you another field goal. All of a sudden, it's 21-6, after the Chiefs get the ball back. So the Bills are going to have to beat the Chiefs at their own game. They're going to have to hold the Chiefs. Their defense is going to have to hold the Chiefs' offense to field goals, and the offense is going to have to score touchdowns. And because the Bills, or the Chiefs' offense is so good, the Bills are going to struggle to stop anything. Make them commit turnovers. Because if you look at the Chiefs, they're 2-2, but you look at the mistakes that they've made, shot themselves in the foot. The Chiefs could easily be 3-0 or 3-0, 4-0 right now. Week 1, they obviously struggled, and against the Browns, pulled it off at the end. Against the Ravens, if Clyde didn't fumble at the end, they would have won that game, because Mahomes was either going to drive them down, score a touchdown, or even a field goal. And then you look against the Chargers, that game, they shot themselves in the foot. They drove down the field relatively easily, and then they had like 2 or 3 red zone turnovers. So for the Bills defense, they're going to have to cause turnovers by the Chiefs, make them make mistakes. And that'll definitely help the Bills stay in this game. And then if you look on the Chiefs side of the ball, this is where the Chiefs really is going to have their best game of the season. Because last week, their defense, they gave up 30 points, but really they gave up 23, because then they gave up a garbage time touchdown. Oh, well, who cares? It just makes the Eagles look a little bit better in the stat category. But for the Chiefs, they're going to have to, play really good defense against this Bills team, because, I don't know if Willie Gay is going to be playing. I know he's finally active. That might help out the defense in all aspects, because that dude, he can fly around the field. He had some good games, so that might help out the linebacking core, because the Chiefs front 7 is the worst in football. I think moving Chris Jones back into the middle, you have Willie Gay coming back, Nick Bolton's having a very solid season. Those 3 right there, have them in the middle, make them run outside, make the Honey Badger make some plays, because Honey Badger, he's very good. Even Sorensen, I know we give him crap. I feel like he shouldn't be on the team anymore, because at this point, what is he contributing? Missed tackles, everything else. But he does have those solid 2 to 3 plays a game where he stops people. So I think if they do that, the Chiefs, make them run outside, let their secondary come up, make some big tackles. I think, make them run outside will help them out a little bit defensively. But it's going to be really hard to stop this Bills offense. Bills offense can almost do whatever they want. They can put up 40 on you without blinking. And they're playing, I don't know really how good the Texans defense are. That just whole team is bad, but the Chiefs literally have the worst defense in football. So they're going to have to, contain them, and I think for the love of everything, play Juan Thornhill. I think having him and Honey Badger, because, Tyrann Mathieu, no one throws the ball to him because after that 2-interception game on his first game of the season, after coming back after missing week 1, he had 2 interceptions, and since then no one's throwing it to him. So they're going to have 2 solid, secondary players. And if they do that, I think that leaves them a great chance at winning this game. So defensively, play Juan Thornhill. Hopefully Willie Gay has a good game. Move Chris Jones back inside. I know that's not going to happen, but just try to stop the run. Try to stop these offensive weapons that the Bills have. And then, if they have to, they're going to have, and then again, another point from last week, they're going to have to force turnovers. Yeah, or not turnovers would be nice, but just punts, because the Eagles didn't punt one time last week, which is not a good thing to have. The Chiefs didn't punt last week, as I'll get to on the Chiefs' offensive side of the ball here soon. But the Eagles didn't punt. They're going to have to force punts. And if they have to, use the AFC championship game from last year. They gave Josh Allen troubles that entire game. I think the Bills barely broke 20, if they even broke 20. I don't remember what the score was in that championship game. I just know the Chiefs absolutely dominated. That was back when everybody was like, oh, the Chiefs aren't winning by enough points. They're not winning by double digits, blah, blah, blah. That game, use that game as a motivator and, an idea of what you can do, because you can beat good teams by more than double digits. This whole narrative that they had last year, it was frustrating to listen to, because I didn't know that, you had to win by 40 points every game for it to be considered an actual win. So defensively, hold them to field goals if you can. If you can force punts and get off the field, that would be very nice to see this week too. And just make them punt at least once, just once. And then offensively, just keep doing what they're doing. They did have a turnover last week. So if you look at the stats last week, every touchdown drive went for at least 70 plus plays. 3 of the 6 touchdown drives went for at least, every touchdown drive went at least 70 plus yards. 3 of the 6 touchdown drives had 11 plus plays. And they scored a touchdown on 6 of the 7 drives, with one of them being an interception. So, and this is excluding Neil Jones. I didn't count those into it. But offensively, just keep driving down the field. Try not to throw an interception, because if we can limit, interceptions, turnovers, it'll be even harder for the Bills to get some points. And then, score, like I said, scoring with no turnovers. Don't punt like last week. Offensively, they didn't have to punt either. So, this Chiefs offense, it didn't have the explosive plays last year, but they were just driving down the field all game against the Eagles. And they need to do that again against the Bills. And if they can run the ball, ever since those fumbles, Andy Reid hasn't been afraid to run the ball with Clyde. So just continue feeding him the ball. Allow the playmakers to make plays. Allow Mahomes to go over the top. Have Josh Gordon have a nice game if he can. Obviously, Tyreek Hill had a good game. Travis Kelce's quiet, but they're not going to be able to cover all these people. Give it to McCole Hardman. He had a very solid game in the AFC Championship game last week. Byron Pringle has showed notices. Demarcus Robinson needs to learn to run up the field instead of running backwards. But I think if for the Chiefs, if they just do what they do best, and I don't know how much pressure. I'd have to look up the numbers, but I don't feel like Spags is sending enough pressure against the teams. Maybe he doesn't trust his secondary, but at the same time, I would pressure the heck out of Josh Allen. Yeah, he's a good runner, but he's not going to be able to the offense of the Bills isn't going to be able to defend everybody. So send some pressure defensively. So yeah, I think this game is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a high-scoring, stressful game like every Chiefs game is. The defense is probably going to struggle even more, because they're playing another really good offense. But hey, maybe that AFC Championship game was enough, and maybe this is where the game where the Chiefs defense finally gets it right. They had some moments last week that I really liked, and they're slowly improving. The 2018 defense is night and day, and I think the 2018 defense would be just a little bit better than this one, because God, that 2018 defense was bad, but this one's just as bad. It's almost worse. So if they can make some steps in the right direction, build off the last few weeks, I think they can make this a tough game for the Bills, and they can come out with the victory.